Hello, John Bloodworth, Gentleman Crafter here with an assembly guide to the Easter egg gift box. I'm going to start this video with a look through the parts that you'll be cutting. From one sheet you'll cut the egg bottom, and that has the 12-sided shape together with 12 coordinating panels. From the second sheet you'll cut the egg top, and that has those two strange shapes there together with 12 panels. And then you will cut the file called egg panels from a different colour, and it has these kite-shaped designs together with all of the parts that will make the decorative bow. I'll start by showing you how to create the base. At the top edge there is a fold line. I would recommend pre-scoring this with a sharp pokey tool. This then gets folded towards the back of the piece. So in my case, I'm using a textured cardstock, which only has texture on one side, so I would fold it away from the texture. Glue that in place, and then you can just loosely pre-fold the rest of the score lines, or if you would like a much neater finish, you can of course take the time to pre-score all of those with your scoring tool and ruler. But as there are quite a number of parts, I prefer to just loosely do them just with my hands. Once you have done all 12 parts, then basically you'll start assembling this. And I like to do it in pairs, and that helps me sort of keep a track of things and work methodically. So you'll apply the glue to the first tab, which is near the top edge. That's the one that you just folded over. And then basically work tab by tab down the length of those strips, holding it in place until it has grabbed. I'm using a bookbinding glue which is low moisture and quick grab, and that's the kind of glue that I would recommend for any papercraft project, as it allows you to work quickly and doesn't buckle your cardstock. If you do prefer working with tape, I will warn you there are a lot of little tabs that you will need to apply tape to. So as I say, I would prefer a bookbinding glue. So here I've done all of the pairs so far, and now I'm going to go about joining those pairs together. It's the same process, so you'll start at the top edge and work your way down the length until you have all of those pairs joined together. And then what you'll do is join the three sets of, or the three groups together, and I will cover that in just a moment. So there we go, there's the three groups. Now it's exactly the same process, working tab by tab to put those all together, and you will basically end up with this. This time around, to finish it off, I would recommend starting at the smaller end, so the opposite end to what we've been doing already, and again working tab by tab towards the top edge of that shape. Once you've got them all done, that's your base almost finished. You've just got the actual bottom of that base left to stick on, and that's this shape here. Apply glue to all of the tabs and then stick the base in place. I would recommend just holding it in place for a few moments until the glue has started to grab, and then placing something flat on top to hold that in place while the glue fully cures. In my case, the nearest thing to hand was the die cutting plates from my mini die cutting machine, but whatever you've got to hand, just don't make it too heavy. Now for the top, it's going to be very similar in some respects. We'll start by scoring that top edge, but this time you're going to glue and fold it towards the front or the textured side of the card. These tabs might not seem obvious about their purpose initially, but basically they add structure and stability to the top edge of both of these shapes, the top and the bottom part. And they also help with the closure mechanism later on. Again, just loosely pre-folding all of the score lines on all 12 pieces. This time though, there is a slight difference in the fact that you will pair up two sections, one that has no end tab and one that has an end tab. You can see the difference there. So make sure that they're created in the same way each time. So if you put the tabbed one on the left, make sure it's on the left on all pieces. Glue it together in exactly the same way you did for the base, and then you'll be left with that sort of intermittent tab formation on the base, or the bottom, the top area of the egg top. Glue the upper section together, as you saw me do, and then working tab by tab, we're going to stick this in place. It's much easier for me to show you this rather than me explain it, but as you can see, I'm gluing tab pairs and working my way around that upper area. The last one can be a little bit fiddly, but just take your time and have patience. Then for the top part, very similar, we're going to glue pairs of tabs at a time and slot them in between. Work your way around until that's completely finished. And then you will have something like this. Now these kite shapes are an uneven kite, so there is an area which is smaller and there is an area which is larger. Make sure that the larger area points towards the top. And that larger area is what we're going to stick to the upper part of the egg. The kite shape that's split in half, make sure that it's the upper part that you stick to the egg. And then opposite, you will stick the part that has the score line actually cut into it. All of the others don't. They will just get stuck to the egg top, as you see there. For the bow, we are going to glue the tails together and then shape the loops and glue those down. Then I will glue the wrap in place. And then glue the tails to the bow. I've put them further down on this occasion and then trimmed off the top, but you do whatever works for you. This is then going to get stuck in place where you have that half kite shape. And this is basically opposite to the hinge mechanism. Then this spare part, or the lower half of that split up kite, goes on the egg base. Any of the positions will work. Then what you'll do is glue the hinge to the egg base. You might find this a little fiddly, and I did start out by trying to assemble it on the desk as you see there, but then I decided it would be easier to fold back the hinge part and stick the base to the panel that way. Once that's stuck in place, you can use hook and loop fastener behind the bow to secure that in place, or magnets, or any other solutions that you have already in your craft room. Then you'll fold the top over, making sure that all of those kite shapes go outside of the egg base. And that's your egg complete.